Hey guys, my name's Sleepy Panda, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the reality of being a pro player. I feel like a lot of people outside of pro scenes, casual players to a video game, think it's a lot easier than it is to be a successful pro player. There's a lot that goes into it. It's more than just being able to hop on the game every day and grind and play and make money just from playing the game. Being a pro gamer in any video game is a dream many of us share. Unfortunately, after experiencing going pro myself, it showed me how little I know about how to be successful as one. So today I'm going to share some of my past experiences and hopefully give you all an insight on how to become a successful pro gamer. So, step one, and probably the biggest step, you are not just a pro gamer. Being a pro player involves more than just being on the game for hours and studying your craft. In order for organizations to pick you up, big organizations like TSM, NRG, 100 Thieves, or even Tier 2 orgs to look at you as a player, you need to have some kind of social media following. With the way esports works now, being a pro gamer is not enough. You need to bring more to the table for them than just skill. Esports orgs need some kind of return on investment to stay afloat, so unless you are winning every tournament, you are not providing that for them. So, what do you need to do then? Well, on top of being a pro player, you need to be a content creator. Having your own following and being self-sustaining will be huge to your success as a player. That is where I felt short during my stint in ALGS Pro League. I had the skill to consistently be in Pro League, but where I fell off was I made no content. I had no big social media presence. I relied on what Tier 2 org signings I could have to make my living, but that does not last. Once I had pay issues with the last org I had, it screwed me to the point that I had to put gaming aside and get my finances correct before I could make a return, which luckily I did. So now I am back competing and recently sort of qualified for Pro League again. But that is a topic for another time. My main point is the best thing you can do for yourself as a player is grow your brand. Make content for people to enjoy and make yourself money so you can be a self-sustaining pro player in your career. The next thing I want to talk about, which is a little bit of a weird topic, but you are owed nothing and you owe nobody anything. Play your game. Don't look at other players in the scene and focus too much on them and compare yourself to them. At the end of the day, it is you grinding. You do it in the way you feel you need to, and focus on yourself. When you start out, don't shoot too high. You will be egoed by other players in the scene, and you will not get invited to tourneys or anything else until you are proven. The established players in any scene don't know you and have an image to protect and know the weight that can come with playing with them in any sense. Keep your head down, don't worry about anyone else, and grind until you are at the top and have proven yourself worthy of teaming with the OGs in the scene. Now, kind of circling around to a second point for being a creator. Decide what kind of person and player you want to represent yourself as and go with it. The way you represent yourself could either harm you or help you. Going on Twitter and picking fights and cursing at anyone you can get your hands on will just burn bridges and never give you a chance to grow and collab with other players / creators in the scene, which will kill your career before it starts. Networking is a good way to grow and to become close with people you would want to team with in the future. Making friends will be massive for you in the long run. Now, to what most people think being a pro gamer is, play the game. You need to be grinding and studying the game every single day. When I first started out on Apex during COVID, I was not where I needed to be a pro gamer. I ended up doing one of my first pro league scrims, if you would call them that, and I subbed for a team and ended up getting ran through. And that really opened up to me how much and what I needed to do to improve as a player. So playing the game every day, studying your craft, improving as a player. There are several ways you can go about this. You can just have someone you always play with. You guys bounce off each other, improve off each other. You can play as a solo and just play with random teams all the time. The biggest thing that I have done for myself as a player was VOD reviewing. Whenever I started streaming and going back, even just ranked, going back and watching it back, looking at what I did, looking at what I could improve on, that's when I really skyrocketed as a player and made it to where I am today, to where I can consistently be in Pro League no matter what team I'm with. Another point I'd like to bring up is having a good mental. Having a good mental is massive because you will not always be at the top. You've got teams like TSM who are, but they do have their low points. And during those low points, they don't let it get to their head. Think about the latest championship. People were shitting on TSM. They were saying they've lost it. They're not good enough anymore. And they come back and win a championship. And it's just that kind of thing where keep your head. Don't let these low points get you down. Just work with your team to become the better players and become the team that you know you guys can be. And that leads me to another topic of teams. So far in my 2 years in Apex, no team has lasted. For me, there are teams that have been together for a long time, but as the player that I have been, I have not been able to keep a roster for a super extended period of time. From my point of view, I don't know why. Sometimes people make roster changes for things that you won't understand. And also, sometimes roster changes are made because you guys are on an org. That org no longer has the money to support you guys or no longer wants to put money in the Apex scene. And once they drop you, people can't sustain themselves without that org payout. So teams switch up and drop. So if you can get two other guys that you've been friends with for a long time and can grind up and you can make yourself something in the scene, massive. But if not, expect to have to adapt to new players, which is not a terrible thing. Playing with a bunch of different teams and learning the game from different perspectives will help you grow as a player. But just know, so far, the reality for me has been rosters change all the time. No matter how close you get to people, no matter how much you love the roster you on, things will go wrong. So just expect those sort of issues during your time trying to go pro. The very last thing I want to talk about does not just contain to Apex, but whenever you finally decide to commit to a pro grind and you want to go pro in a video game, look at the longevity of that game. Look at how that game interacts with esports and esports teams. What kind of money is there to be made, or will the game even be around? Perfect example would be Hyperscape. Hyperscape was a game that Ubisoft put out, BR, that I feel like some people committed to, and it fell through. So those people that committed to it ended up having nothing. And it's the same thing with wanting to go pro in any video game. You want to make sure that that game will be around for a decent amount of time to where you can at least make yourself an image and can move to another game. That's what I've seen in a lot of different gamers. Think about Hal. Now, I'm not 100% on all the details of this. I just know he was an H1Z1 gamer before this and played in tournaments and all that. And then when Apex came out, he switched to Apex and blew up and is now the #1 player. Opportunities like that will arise, but it's not going to be constant. So just really think about your future before you hop into things like this, because there's so much more on the line than just being a pro gamer. You need to balance your outside life as well, and you need to make sure you are set up to where you won't have to take a giant step back whenever anything goes wrong. At the end of the day, you make your own choices. You take all this information how you will, coming from a tier 2 pro at this point. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Everything is different for everybody. This is just some of tips from experiences that I have experienced while trying to go pro in the Apex scene. I will gladly go in more depth about anything if anyone has any questions. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.